Greetings denizens of the internet, it's me again, and I think today I want to talk a little bit about Pac-Man. I've got the relevant t-shirt on as well. I actually tried to record this video yesterday, but I kind of messed up a lot of the lines, missed things out and repeated things that I didn't need to say. So here I am again, second attempt on the Swinton Greenway, talking about making a game. Well, seems ironic that I'm walking through such lovely scenery while talking about a computer game. I see it's a couple of people who watched the last couple of videos, which makes me happy because it means somebody cares. I assume my dad's watched it, so if you're there, happy birthday, Dad. And now on to what I wanted to talk about, which is Pac-Man. 1980, single screen game, little yellow guy who walks around a maze, munching pills and running from monsters. Simple game. A lot of the fun in it comes from kind of small-scale strategic thinking. Like, which order to visit the corners of the board so that the monsters won't be there. That's the kind of thing that only works really well if you can see the whole board. You can see where the dots are remaining and you can see where the monsters are. I've seen a few attempts to remake Pac-Man in 3D and they always kind of miss out there because usually you can't see the whole board. And that takes away one of the things that made the original so much fun. That contrasts with a style of game called a Metroidvania, which I'll explain in case Dad hasn't heard of it, is inspired by a couple of games including Metroid and Castlevania, and is basically a platform game which has a lot of exploration in it. You can, rather than just going through one level and then the next and then the next, you can take different paths. There might be parts of the map that you can't visit yet. You need to collect some ability or key and then come back to find out what you might have missed the first time round. It's about exploration. And YouTube recommended me a review video for a game which the reviewer described as trying to be a Pac-Man Metroidvania. He wasn't too impressed with this game. Since watching that, YouTube has recommended me a dozen other videos reviewing the same game, all of which seem to have the same opinion, which is that this particular combination can't really work. I can see why you might think that the combination of exploration with a game where you know the board, kind of, they don't seem to fit. But the contrarian in me sees someone saying this can't be done, or can't be done well, and I started thinking about how I would do it. So that's what I've decided to try making. Pac-Man Metroidvania. I think I've got a way that it could work. Not entirely sure about that. And I won't mention it yet because it'll be easier to explain while I'm writing and testing the game. But see if you can guess what I'm thinking of. So let's get back to me at home doing some programming. After the last video I released, I did spend half an hour working out how to make a double jump system. And I think that means that I at least understand the basics of programming in Godot. But the way I did it is bad. I will admit that, because I realised after about half an hour getting it working that the way I've done it will block me from some things that I want to do in the future. So when I get home, I'm going to go back to the prototype that I already have, and I'm going to try to do the double jump again in a different way, and this time I'll try to make it work. Wish me luck. Okay, so today I'm going to be changing some things that I've already changed once. This is the basic prototype of my game, which does running around on the screen and not much else. I do quite like this guy though. The cloaked guy gives me a better idea of what this game is going to grow into. Now, one thing I did notice was that when you jump, you can't actually attack in the air, which is a bit unusual for a game like this. I didn't check last time, when you do the slash, no. If you press the jump button while there's a slash going, it doesn't do anything. And in fact, once you do the slash, you continue to move at a constant speed, what the speed you were moving at before, which I think is a bit suboptimal. So I'm going to take a look at that and see if I understand the system as well as I think I do. And this time, because I'm trying to not get random notifications popping up in the corner of my screen, I'm recording the editor and the game separately, so I just need to start this one. Yeah, and I can't record both at the same time because apparently that's more than my laptop is capable of. But here we have the editor. This is all the code restored to the state it was in before, and what we need to play with at the moment is the player. Now, player input is controlled through this state machine, where basically it seems to be that each state, idle, walk, jump and melee attack, handles its own behaviour. The state machine itself has a physics process function which, as far as I understand it, physics process will run for every node at the same time, basically, once per frame or physics tick, and the state machine knows which state the player is currently in and basically just calls a function on that state. So for example, when you're idle, it does all this stuff where it doesn't do that much, just checks for key presses and puts the player into a different state. So if you're idle, idle just checks for stuff. Walking, again checks for the jump and attack buttons. Jumping doesn't check for any other keys, so you can't attack while jumping and you can't jump while attacking. I don't particularly like that. I'm not sure the best way to do that actually, but before I get distracted, one of the first things I wanted to do was a double jump, which you see in a lot of platform games where you can have more than one jump. But this time I'm going to do it slightly differently. Because of the way I'm going to make these things work in future versions, I want to track a player's ability to jump. I'll make a new node under the player, which will just be a basic node. And I'll put that above the state machine because that seems the same place to put it. How do I add a script to this? There we go, attach script. Now, the existing code seems to have separate directories for, separate directory for scripts. So yeah, it'll be under the player. So I want to add a script for that. Where is it? It's on here somewhere. Attach script. There we go. Doesn't want to go on the scenes. It wants to go on the scripts player. Yep, that seems fine. Oh, and when I create a new script, you can tell I'm doing this differently this time. It's got a couple of default functions built in apparently. Now, the point of having this separate thing, which I'm planning to add more functionality to later, is to track whether we've used the double jump. What am I doing? Yes, I don't know if it's necessary to export it. It does seem to be, from the code I've looked at so far, whether variables are exported seems to be pretty random. I'm sure I'll get used to which ones actually need to be exported as time goes on. But anyway, I'm dithering, aren't I? Right. That is going to be to count how many jumps the player has available, and for the most part, I don't think I need to do any of that. What I do need to do, I'm trying to think. I thought I understood how to do this, but I'm kind of realising there's gaps in my knowledge that I hadn't realised. Yes, I'll go to the player first. What type's that? I guess it's one of those. I have no idea if I'm doing this right or not. I haven't actually looked into creating new nodes yet, which wasn't quite right. The player has to have a reference to its state machine, doesn't it? No, apparently it doesn't. Okay, I think I understand how to do that. I'm not doing very well at this, am I? Right. The idle state, when we're on the ground and not doing anything. I'm going to change this around a bit. Yes, I know I've not done anything with that yet. Stop auto-completing things. I'm trying to move code around that already exists. Right. If the player... No. Sorry, it's frustrating me a little that I'm trying to reference pieces of code that are already here, but as soon as I start typing, it's giving me a screen full of suggestions covering up the bits I'm trying to look at. Like, is on floor, I should know that, I've seen it a dozen times, but as soon as I'm about to start typing it, it comes up with a bunch of random suggestions for other conditions that I might want. So, if they've not pressed jump and they are on the floor, I really should know better than that. No, that's not right. This autocomplete is really starting to get on my nerves. Okay, so when the player presses jump, if they're on the floor, we put them into the jump state. If they're not on the floor, but they have an air jump available, we take away one air jump and put them into the jumping state. If they're on the floor when they're not pressing jump and they haven't already got a jump, then give them one. Yes, I know that's horrible because I'm poking that variable externally, but I just want to see if that works how I intended. However, the big thing with the double jump is that normally you do it while jumping. So, where's the process in the jump state? I don't need an error yet. I'm in the middle of typing. Yeah. Idle state. No, not that one. Now, this is probably not the right way to do it, but never mind. Because I can't switch to the jump state because we're already in the jump state, but I can run the enter function again, which basically causes the jump to be going upwards. So, let's see if any of that's worked. I will have to stop recording this screen to make the actual playback work. Hold on, is there an error? Yes. Oh, not done. Yeah, what do I want to do? Yes. Okay, I will have to stop recording the editor so that I can test out this game. So, let's see. Jump works as normal down here. And yep, I have 2 jumps now. Can I do 3 jumps? Nope. So it only gets that jump back when I touch the ground. At some point I will try to put a visual indicator of whether you've already used the second jump, which the way I did it the first time I attempted this would have been not easy. However, I just thought, no, if I run off a platform I can't do a jump because I'm not in the idle state, then I'm in the walking state. Although, My reflexes aren't fast enough to test that. Yes. Right. So I can do a second jump in the air, but only one. And I can walk off the end of a platform and then jump in the air, but I can't run off a platform and then jump in the air, because then I'm in the walking state, not the idle state, and the walking state still checks for being on the floor and not the other stuff. Now I'm starting to think this is a little less efficient. Maybe checking whether you're able to jump should belong to the jump state, not all the ones you can enter it from. Maybe I've got that right, maybe I'm not. The other question, of course, is whether I should just put the double jump code in the jump state so you can jump and then jump again, but you can't jump if you run off a platform. Given the, in-universe explanation of why this guy can jump in mid-air, he's going to have a kind of gravity manipulating jump booster thing, which I can see it working, that it doesn't work if he runs off something. I'm not sure which is more common. I'm sure I've seen both in different games. So should he be able to jump in the air? Should I move the double jump code just to the jump state, or should I add it to the walk state as well in order to make it consistent? I think I'll try both of those options and then see what works best. But yeah, this is me doing the very simplest functions and taking forever to make it work right. At least I'm getting a better idea of how Godot does things. So I'll keep on playing with this until next time. See you later, and good luck with whatever you're doing.